What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Squid Talks. And today we're going to be talking about cross-platform on video games. Um, Cross-platform was something that we really got to see a lot of with Fortnite, right? And it actually wasn't intentional for Sony to be involved, actually. That was an entirely accidental thing, and it was patched out pretty quick, but people had gotten the taste, and so they put it in there. And a lot of gamers are, they're so used to cross-platform now. Um, they really, really love it. And a lot of games, that's the main thing. Is it cross-platform? Is it going to be cross-play? Can I play with my friend who has a PlayStation while I'm on my Xbox? Or can my PC friends play with me? These are the questions that get asked now because of cross-platform. But what about some games where we can't play with our PlayStation friends? Why does that happen? And I'm just going to be straight up. I really do think the reason is corporate greed. Now, this will never be admitted by any company ever because it looks bad. Let's be honest here. It looks really, really bad. And at the end of the day, the person that surprisingly does not want to play ball is Sony. And I say surprisingly because Sony is the place you go for really, really good games. And that's the main reason they don't want to play ball. Let's be honest here. Sony does not want to lose a slice of those profits. They're worried that by adding cross-platform, you will choose to buy the game on Xbox instead of PlayStation. Which, let's be realistic, if I have a PlayStation and the game is available on both consoles, I'm not going to go and buy an Xbox just to buy it on Xbox, right? It's a really unrealistic fear that Sony has. The argument that Sony gives is that it's about security issues, but this was actually proven to be false when Rocket League announced that Xbox actually had the highest security requirements, and that once they cleared Xbox's requirements, it was really easy to clear the requirements for other consoles. So if it's not about actual security, if that's not really Sony's concern, what is it? And it's profits. Recently there was a poll, I'll say a month or two ago, maybe even 3 months ago, by Dead by Daylight, where they asked players if they would be okay with cross-platform if they had to re-buy DLC packs purchased with money on the other consoles. Like, if you purchased it in the game with Orc Cells, you didn't have to re-buy it. But if you paid money for the actual DLC, say you bought the Halloween chapter on your Xbox, you paid for the actual DLC with your money, would you be okay with cross-platform if you had to re-buy it on the PlayStation? And a lot of players were like, yeah. But there were some of us, like myself, who were sitting there like, well, fuck no. Why the hell would I buy it twice? And I am one of those people who was like, no, I'm not fucking buying it twice. I don't love Dead by Daylight enough to buy the game and the DLC twice. But there were people who were like, yeah, totally. I would totally buy it twice. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Anyway. Long story short, we still didn't get crossplay because people like me were like, no, and no. If I buy the game on multiple consoles, I don't want to have to rebuy the DLC. I'm already dumping money in your pockets by buying the game twice. It's not a free-to-play game, okay? As much as Behavior likes to act like they're a free-to-play game, they are not. And they're expensive. Each DLC that is a licensed DLC with 2 characters is almost $10 fucking. And if it's a licensed DLC, it's like 14 if it has more than 2 characters. And licensed DLCs that have 2 characters are still like $10. And if you got the non-licensed, like 8. The point about it, it's expensive with the amount of DLCs they have. And they have added some. They have lowered the price for older non-licensed characters. But this is all because they cannot get every console on the same page for cross-platform. Like, it's not heard. You all agreed to a flat thing. And it ended up being found out that actually Fortnite pays PlayStation if they don't meet a certain profit number, so PlayStation feels like they've lost profit because of cross-platform. Fortnite, Epic Games fucking pays them what the difference would have been. That blows my mind, and that's another thing I want to say. It surprisingly is Sony, a place that makes some of the best games, is so scared that people will go and buy the game on another console that they don't want to play ball with other um consoles. I mean, it makes no fucking sense to me. It makes no fucking sense. And let's be honest, I don't play PlayStation. I play Xbox. Okay, I think the console wars are stupid. First off, let me just put it that way. It just play whatever console makes you feel better. I play Xbox because I feel better. It's a safer platform. It's more secure. I've never had any issues with my account being hacked or stolen. And I know that is not the case for a lot of PlayStation players. These Knives Only has had his PlayStation account hacked into and stolen like 5 fucking times. Holy shit. You know, it is Xbox is more secure. It's a safer platform as far as security concerns go. So I prefer Xbox, even though it does not have some of the high quality platform exclusives that PlayStation has. And let's be honest, PlayStation makes better games. I'm sorry. Xbox players can be mad that I said this. PlayStation makes better games. Just putting it out there. So they make better games. But perhaps that's what they're concerned about, is that people will buy it on a different console because Xbox is more secure, right? And if that's their concern, then just up your security measures. You would think that would solve everything, right? At the end of the day, cross-platform has been a monumental milestone for gaming. People able to play with their friends across multiple platforms and enjoy games with their friends who maybe don't have that platform or prefer another platform for whatever reason. I know that PlayStation games are higher quality and that they focus more on graphics and all that, whereas Microsoft focuses more on performance, right? And I think that is another thing that like I love when my games load fast. I don't give a shit about the fucking graphics. I don't care. Although is it nice when it looks good? Yes, it is nice. But I would rather be able to play the fucking game. Right? And that's, again, another reason I play with Xbox. But I know that other people prioritize graphics over playability. And so they're going to go to PlayStation because they want those nice, smooth frame rates. They want those nice, smooth textures. And that is great that they found a way to enjoy games and there's a platform that lets them enjoy games the way they want. But when it comes to cross-platform, Sony just doesn't want to play ball. It makes no fucking sense at all. And I'll be honest with you, I was surprised that it was Sony. I thought for sure that, especially concerning Dead by Daylight, I thought for sure it was going to be Nintendo. Y'all probably laughing, but no, fucking Nintendo is some of the greediest fucking people you will ever meet. Somebody made a fake Game Boy out of cardboard, and someone said, watch out, fucking Nintendo's going to come and sue that poor 8-year-old. And, you know, we can make jokes like that because, let's be honest, fucking Nintendo will sue you for anything. Like, I could hum the overtune to fucking Legend of Zelda, and I would probably get sued for humming it on my channel. Let's be real here. Nintendo gets lawsuit happy. Let's be honest. They get fucking... They go crazy with the lawsuits. So when it came to the issues of cross-platform and games like Dead by Daylight, Fortnite and all that, I thought that the people that would be giving them the biggest shit was going to be Nintendo. I was so surprised to find out that it was Sony. I swear to God, I was like, no. No, it could not be Sony. It was Sony. And, again, I get it. I get wanting to maximize profits, but maybe you should figure out why people would prefer to buy it on another platform, right? And then fix that problem. Sony does not want to have competition. And this is off the topic of cross-platform gameplay, but there was actually documents revealed that Sony was trying to force game developers into becoming third-party studios for Sony. That way they had less competition. I think it was Sega where we saw the information. And this was doing the whole Microsoft creating a fucking, Monopoly shit was going on doing Activision. And we were like, no, I don't think that's what they're doing. And it ended up being that Sony was the one trying to create the monopoly. Which, whoa, talk about a fucking misstep on Sony's part. And I really think it comes back to Sony does not want competition, because if they have competition, they have to improve. They have to continue striving to improve the quality, the safety, and even the creative process for these games and these consoles, because they have to compete. If they don't have to compete, they can sell third-rate products. They don't have to put as much time and money into it, and that's what Sony's scared of. And I think that's another reason they are so against cross-platform gameplay, because they know that there were some features on the Xbox that you don't get on the PlayStation. And vice versa, I will say that there were some features on the PlayStation that you don't get on the Xbox. Like, we can't stream directly from our console to YouTube like you can on PlayStation. And that's because YouTube doesn't like Xbox. Which is hilarious, because they're both owned by Microsoft. Anyway, with cross-platform, I think Sony is just terrified. I think they are so scared of the idea of having to constantly improve their products. And I think that is something they worry about. I think they worry that people will go to other platforms who maybe have traits and qualities in their consoles that they don't have on their console or their platform. And I think that's really the reason why crossplay is such a hot topic. And it really is. Crossplay, cross-progression, it is such a hot topic on the Xbox, PlayStation fandom. Not so much for PC, because I mean most both Sony and Microsoft have their own PC games that they sell for their consoles. Like I think it was Ghostwire Tokyo. I saw an ad for it on Crunchyroll and it was an Xbox. And I was like, well, I would just buy it on PC. Or no, it was PlayStation. And I was like, I'd just buy it on PC versus buying a fucking PlayStation to play it, right? But the profits would still be going to Sony, obviously. And I think that is exactly why it's not such a hot topic with PCs, because you can play just about any game on PC. Not always the case. Some games do not get day one PC releases, and we're seeing that now with the release of GTA 6 when it comes out. It will release on consoles before PC, and I don't think have we ever had a release on a day one release for GTA for PC. Double check that. I don't think we have. I really don't. Oh my god, my nose. I need to blow my nose. Has GTA ever had a release for PC? Okay, so. No, I wanted to know. It doesn't. I don't think that it's ever had one. Maybe in the original games, maybe. It's not giving me the answer that I want. Let me see. Let me rephrase it. Oh my god, all I'm seeing is stuff for GTA 6. I don't think that it's had a day one release since the first two games for PC. Now, I could be wrong on that, and if anyone knows or can find the answer, please feel free to put that down in the comments. But I could be wrong on that. But anyway, most games are not releasing day one on console. They're releasing day one on PC, and GTA is a very backwards fucking thing with that. But I mean, even GTA, we have cross progression. Actually, we didn't even have cross progression for GTA Online, I don't think. But we do have it on all platforms, but there's no crossplay, right? And again, I don't think there'll ever be crossplay for GTA Online. It would cause way too many fucking issues, because again, Microsoft is more secure, they're more strict on enforcement for their TOS. Now, as far as cross-platform goes, I mean, we're seeing it more and more and more with games. Skull and Bones released with cross-platform play. Um, Smite and Paladins both now have cross-platform play. They've had it for a while now. For Honor, Ubisoft added cross-platform to that, although I think that was the biggest fucking mistake of their lives because Xbox and PC have higher the hard drives are better, so they react faster. And PC definitely reacts much faster than even Xbox. So I mean, a reaction-based game that was a terrible idea. Um, but other games are following suit. Ghostbusters that has cross-platform play. Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. I don't think there's other multiplayer Ghostbusters. Not online. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Um, but more and more games are releasing with these cross-platform things, and I think Sony is eventually going to have to accept the fact that this is the future of gaming. This is where it's going. You either get on the ship with everybody else or you drown, right? Cross-platform is becoming such a staple in the gaming community. Sony is going to have to accept it and, adapt and evolve with every other console, or they're just going to drown. Let's face it, Sony may be outselling in consoles, but there are tons of people who are not buying PlayStations and not buying PlayStation games, people like me, because we can't play with our friends. What the fuck is the point of having the console? You know? When, Microsoft and Nintendo and PC are all like, oh yeah, let's have all of our players play together. That's going to be great. They're going to have a good time. It's going to increase sales. And Sony's over here like, I'm not going to do that, right? I'm obviously going to choose the platform I can play with my friends, right? I'm obviously going to choose the platform where I can play with everybody. And I do have friends who play exclusively on PC, and it is so nice to be able to play with my friends on these platforms. And the issue with Dead by Daylight isn't even cross-play, it's cross-progression. They don't want us to have our progress on the PlayStation because they worry it will mean that because we've purchased these products here, we're not going to purchase them there. And again, it's all about sales for PlayStation. Which I think is very selfish on Sony's part. Sony's part, holy fuck, my list was bad today. I think it's really selfish for them because they don't realize that we are in a horrible economic state right now, at least here in the U.S. I don't know how bad it is in other countries. I can't speak for other countries, but here in the U.S. it is terrible right now. I actually made a joke when they were talking about the new Xbox console release, and I said, great, I can't wait to pawn off my kidney to pay for the console. Because, I mean, it's realistic. The last Xbox console that released, I got the digital version because the disc version cost more than my gaming PC. My gaming PC cost $600. It's not fancy, but it gets everything I need done. The fucking disc Xbox cost like $200 to $300 more. And if I wanted the 1 TB hard drive like I got on my Series S, it was gonna cost like $1,000. That's $400 more. That's almost the price of 2 of my gaming PCs. And I was like, oh fuck no, I'll just get the fucking digital because fuck that shit, right? And then I still had to buy a fan because Sony and Microsoft were so quick to release their products that both companies released faulty products, right? I have a small fan on my Xbox because I had to attach a top. It's like it is a gaming. I'm just feeling the heat now. It is a gaming accessory. It is meant for the Xbox. It doesn't destroy the Xbox. It forces the hot air to come out. So it's like an extra fan because the Series S is overheated. But the Series X is the disc drives would fail and the fucking HDMI's would die. Meanwhile, PlayStation had the same issue with the HDMI's. They would just fucking die. It's like, what the fuck? And that's another thing. This is why I think that Sony and Xbox both don't understand, is that we don't give a fuck how long it takes to release the console, as long as you release us a product that actually fucking works, right? And that's why it cracks me up that Sony's so worried about cross-platform, because they feel so threatened by Microsoft, and Microsoft has blatantly admitted that the fucking console wars are over. They know that they're not going to outsell Sony. They know they're not. The only person concerned about the console wars right now, as far as companies, is Sony. Now, I won't say as far as users, because there is still full-blown fucking Twitter arguments that go on as far as console wars. I don't really get it. Like I said, just choose the platform that you're more comfortable with. But, like, I think that's part of the reason they don't want to put cross-progression. They don't want to put cross-play. I think they literally are so fucking terrified. They're worried that if they take a step back and work on the quality of their products and their games, that Microsoft will pass it. And Microsoft is literally just like, I don't give a shit anymore. And I do think that and this is my own personal opinion, and it's a little bit of a conspiracy theory thing, and that Microsoft is buying out these companies like Bethesda and Activision, not because they're trying to create a monopoly. First off, it's all about products. Let's be honest here. They bought Activision not because of Call of Duty. They didn't give a fuck about Call of Duty. That's why they nuked the fucking league. It was for mobile gaming. Activision Blizzard owned Candy Crush, and that is one of the most profitable games out there, especially mobile game wise. It's fucking millions of fucking dollars just that game in general. And that's why they bought it. They wanted to slice in that mobile gaming. But my conspiracy theory is that Microsoft is buying up all of these companies because they're stepping away from making consoles, and that they're slowly trying to get into game development and become just a publisher. That's my own conspiracy theory. And again, I have no way to actually prove this. But yeah, that is my theory on Microsoft buying all these fucking studios. And I say this especially because they seem to be really, really into, like, putting these games from these studios that they buy on other platforms. Obviously not the major titles, like Starfield didn't release right off the bat on PlayStation. Redfall. And honestly, I'm gonna tell PlayStation players right now. I'm gonna tell them right now, y'all did not miss shit. Starfield and Redfall especially, I was so stoked for that game, and fucking Bethesda dropped the ball. People were like, well, Hi-Fi Rush was going to be on both platforms. I don't even think it was. Y'all didn't miss anything with that either. I mean, it was an okay game, but you really didn't miss anything, guys. I think that they're gearing more towards making games than they are consoles, and that's another reason I think that Sony really is paranoid about profits, because literally, they're trying so hard to get studios and get their own titles out. One of the big titles that will be releasing on Xbox this year, I don't have an exact release date, and I don't have any, I don't know this from any particular developer before you all come and shoot me later for it. State of Decay 3 is supposed to release sometime this year. I don't think there's an actual date right now. And that is going to be the first AAA title from Undead Labs and Microsoft Studios for that game. And that is it's stuff like that makes me think that really I don't think PlayStation should be worried about this. I don't think they should be worried about cross progression. I don't think they should be worried about crossplay. I think that there are enough people buying PlayStations over Xboxes. I don't think they really need to be too concerned about it. And I mean that. Because let's face it, PlayStation outsells Xbox every single year. And it has for the last 3 gaming console generations. It has outsold Xbox every single year. Because people want high quality games. Who releases more high quality exclusives? PlayStation or Xbox? PlayStation. Right? We got God of War, we got all kinds of great exclusives coming out of PlayStation on a regular. Like, I don't think that PlayStation should be as concerned as they are, especially when it comes to cross progression, because let's face it, most people are playing on a PlayStation 5. And I can say that with confidence. I will go and I'll try and find people to play with on games that have cross-play but not cross-progression, and 9 times out of 10, they're PlayStation players, they're not Xbox players, so we have to get on Discord to chat. And again, it's not that PlayStation is doing, anything different than they've been doing all along, right? Microsoft is just they're not making the high quality exclusives that PlayStation is, and people were worried about Call of Duty not coming to PlayStation once Xbox acquired it. And I don't think they should have been worried about that. Microsoft did not buy Activision for Call of Duty. They did not buy it for Overwatch. They bought it for fucking Candy Crush, and that pisses me off. I have very, 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 very strong feelings on Microsoft for the betrayal. Oh my god. And I mean, it was a betrayal. They laid off a third of Activision, like, almost as soon as they acquired that bitch. What the fuck was that? But cross progression is something that is the future of gaming, and I think that Sony needs to get off their high horse and just go with it. Because I really do think that that will be what causes their downfall. And I don't think that Sony realizes the amount of money they will lose when people cannot play with their friends who are playing on PC or Xbox, or they can't take their progress over to another platform, say that they're at their friend's house and their friend only has an Xbox. Well, now they have to create a new account and have to work all the way up the ladder again because they're at their friend's house and their friend has an Xbox. Right? Sony very well could, with not being willing to work with other companies, be shooting itself in the foot. And I do think that it is shooting itself in the foot. If Sony is not careful, they could be up for a lawsuit, much like Bill Gates was during his time at owning Microsoft when he first developed it. Because Bill Gates it was described as getting into a knife fight with him as far as being a competitor. And he was sued and found guilty of trying to create a monopoly. And I think that PlayStation needs to be really careful with that. Because their inability to work with others and their desire to absolutely destroy any competition so that it's not even competition, like if the companies just die, I think Sony needs to be really careful. A good way to show people that they're not trying to create a monopoly would be to work with these companies instead of trying to absolutely crush them. Because let's face it, and I know that PlayStation players and Xbox are both gonna wanna, yell at me for this. Competition is good. Xbox needs Sony as much as Sony needs Xbox. They need each other to, to foster that, competition where they're trying to create better consoles and better games, and they're slowly climbing up that ladder, creating state-of-the-art products and video games. They need each other. And cross-play and cross-progression are the future of gaming. Without cross-play and cross-progression, without Sony partaking in that, where other consoles and platforms are, PC, Nintendo, and fucking Xbox, not participating in that, separating from those three companies to, try and crush them, Sony is, in effect, shooting itself in the foot. And it very well could be that one day they do get sued for a monopoly. I'm actually waiting for it to happen. After the news was released from Sega, for the court case that yes, Microsoft intentionally crushed the company, much like Bill Gates used to do for competing software companies, I actually expected then and there the judge to throw the Microsoft case out because Sony was giving false information and obviously trying to create a monopoly themselves. And I am really surprised that Sony did not get a countersuit from players and companies for that. I have conspiracy theories on that maybe Sony paid off some of the judges because there was a lot of some sus shit going on with the Microsoft thing. And I just mean from a, from an unbiased point of view, there was some sus shit with that case because there was a lot of evidence from Microsoft that the monopoly was not their plan. Especially with them working with Nintendo to get Call of Duty on Nintendo. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I will never play Call of Duty on a Switch console. I'm sorry, Nintendo, I love you. Your games are great. I will never, ever play an FPS on your fucking consoles. You all cannot process shit. I'm gonna get shot by a guy halfway across the map because I'm still loading into the area. But seriously though, seriously. Xbox has said, hey man, we're trying to get these games on as many platforms as possible so people can play with their friends. And Sony's like, I don't give a shit. Money. I need money. Just fucking crazy. Um, we're moving into a period of gaming where, as a gamer who's been gaming since I was 4, so it's been almost 2.5 decades, 23 years, I can say with confidence we're moving into a renaissance in gaming. AAA titles are dying. They mean absolutely shit. They're worth less than the shit that comes out of my ass and gets flushed down the toilet. They are worth nothing. AAA titles mean nothing, especially if those titles are coming from AAA developers. Ubisoft makes absolute third-rate unfinished products. Bethesda makes absolute third-rate unfinished products. Activision and Blizzard, third-rate unfinished products. Right? This is happening with every single AAA developer. That in itself tells me multiple things. That tells me that we are going through a renaissance. We've went through it a couple times since I've been alive, actually. Gaming has changed multiple times. That also tells me that AAA developers have become complacent. They are used to pumping out unfinished products and taking our money. It also tells me that the creativity in the gaming industry has died. It is all about money, money, money. That is all they care about. So they will continue to sell unfinished products because people are buying them, because it's a AAA title from a AAA developer. That's slowly stopping. Cross progression as pushing a lot of players to not buy titles from certain platforms because Sony refuses to participate in it. So they don't want to buy it on that platform because that platform doesn't let them play with their friends who own Xboxes and PCs and Switches. Although, again, if you're playing fucking FPS on a Switch, please stop. Anyway, the gaming is changing. There is a massive renaissance going on right now. And those of us who have been around for a couple decades or even longer, because I know people who are in their 50s and 60s who play games. And, they were playing in the arcades. My dad had an Atari, I knew who were, like, have grandkids that have been playing games since they were, in arcades and shit, right? They've seen these things happen. I've seen it happen once. We used to play offline and then boom, everything was online. Fucking massive multiplayer, talk with your friends across the country was massive. It exploded. It blew the gaming industry on its head. And we're going through another one of those changes right now, thanks to cross progression and the death of massive multiplayer online games. Live service games are dying. Cross progression is the future. Cross play is the future of multiplayer gaming. And this is going to continue to develop and evolve, and these indie developers are going to be the heroes of that. I have seen more indie games that are of a higher quality than AAA games in the past 3 years than I have in my entire life. Coral Island was an indie game from Stay Away Games. It's a cozy game. And, excuse me, and, when Coral Island was, released, I was like, oh, it's a fucking Stardew Valley ripoff. Stardew Valley was another indie game that had a much higher quality than your average fucking cozy game. And I don't mean anything bad against Natsumi and Xseed. I really don't. They're both really great developers. They have carried the cozy game genre on their backs. Their games are getting lower quality. Not because they're making a fortune, because the cozy game industry is very niche. There's not a lot of people buying these games, but they're still making more than most other developers. And it's not just cozy games that this is happening to. A guy on Roblox made a better performing, well, not better performing, but he made a better version of Call of Duty than what we have currently released on fucking Roblox. What the hell was that? And I'm sorry. If I was Activision and I saw that, because I think it was Moist Critical did a video on it. Might have been, was it Charlie? Was it Charlie or Asmongold? Was it Zach or Charlie? It was either Moist Critical or Asmongold. Anyway. They did a video on this, and I'll be honest with you, if I was Activision, I saw that, I'm sorry. I'm walking out the office and quitting because fuck that shit. Like, the company I work for can't make a game like that. Are you fucking kidding me? And it wasn't even graphics that were better. It was the performance. It was the fun, you know? They had the slide canceling, the fucking, reload. They had everything about former Call of Duty games that made them great in a Roblox fucking form. Like, I'm sorry. I'm a developer with Activision. I'm quitting. Because when people who aren't game developers can make a better game than you, that's depressing. That's embarrassing, right? And this is shit that's been going on for a while. We are on the verge of a gaming renaissance. And it's just going to keep happening to game developers. AAA people, AAA developers, AAA companies, AAA games are going to keep getting shit on by these indie developers. And until they realize why they're getting shit on, it's not going to change. It's not going to get any fucking better. They're just going to keep failing and getting embarrassed by these indie developers, because the indie developers know what people want. They know what it takes to make a game fun and engaging. And most of these indie developers are not making online games. They're not making live service games, which is why I say very seriously that live service games are dying. People don't want to buy your shoddy, unfinished product that has 200 fucking gigabytes of data and isn't even finished. They don't want to have to buy DLC so they can finish the story, you know? And this is something, I swear to God, I sound like an old fart when I say this, but when I was a kid, you bought a game, it was fucking finished. You didn't have to buy 5 different DLCs to finish the fucking game. And it certainly didn't require 300 gigabytes of storage space. I download a fucking 360 game and it's like 7 gigabytes. Why? How is it that 360 game is able to give me a finished product? Because these 360 games are finished. They're able to give me a finished product in 7 gigabytes, but you can't give me a finished product in 200 gigabytes. What the fuck? And I mean this, man. I fucking mean this. Live service games are dying because developers have gotten so complacent with releasing shoddy, unfinished product. They have destroyed the trust of the consumer. They have destroyed the trust that they've built up with these consumers. You know, you get enough titles released, successful, finished, masterful titles, and you build up a trust with these consumers, and then you take that trust and you fucking stomp on it. And the indie games that are released that are multiplayer do it fan-fucking-tastic. Like, why? How are these AAA developers able to release multiplayer games that are much better than the AAA developers? How are they? It's sad. But at the end of the day, unless these developers, and especially platforms like Sony, and I am shitting on Sony hard on this because there is no reason they should feel so threatened that they don't want to have cross-progression or cross-play. There was no reason. Because I play Xbox, and I will tell you right now, Sony outsells Microsoft every fucking time. If there was cross-progression for games, I guarantee you people would rather play it on a fucking PlayStation than they would at Xbox, and I'm sorry, it's fucking true. Let's be honest here, okay? Sony outsells Microsoft every fucking time. So as someone who plays Xbox, I can tell you right now, Sony really has no reason to be as fucking paranoid as they are about profits. They have no reason. What it comes down to is greed. Straight up greed. Because if they release cross-platform, they know that there is a percentage of players, a very small percentage, that will go and play that on a PC or an Xbox because they would rather play it there. That's what they're scared of. They're scared of that small percentage of players that would play it on another platform. And it's a very small percentage because most people prefer PlayStation over Xbox. Right? And I swear to you that if Sony had cross progression and cross play, Xbox would take and not just Xbox, fucking Nintendo would take a massive dip in sales. I'm sorry. It will happen. It will fucking happen. Because the games that are cross progression and cross play are usually games that are free to play. And I'm gonna be real with you right now. When it comes to exclusive content for free-to-play games, Sony did several skins for Fortnite that were fucking exclusive, and they outsold the Xbox exclusive skins by leaps and bounds. Nobody fucking wanted to run around as Master Chief, but the guy from God of War, I don't even know his fucking name. Fuck yeah, that dude looked fucking badass. That skin was amazing. Like, if I had been playing on PlayStation, I probably would have fucking bought it. Let's be fucking real. It was way better than the shitty Master Chief skin we got. Way better. And I think that Sony underestimates themselves. They don't realize that their games are better. They don't realize that their platform is better. They don't realize that given the option for cross progression, most people would rather buy their products on fucking PlayStation. They don't realize that given the option, it is a very real thing. And as someone who plays an Xbox, it does make me a little sad. But Xbox has given up on the console was a long time ago. They have given up a long fucking time ago. And I think that that is another thing that Sony just needs to really, take a look around, and they're the only ones competing. They're competing against themselves at this point. They're playing a game with no other players, and like, oh, we won! Yeah, of course you did. Nobody else is playing anymore. Xbox has admitted that the console wars are over. Fucking Nintendo was they were one generation. The GameCube was meant to compete with the PlayStation and the Xbox, and yeah, they gave up after that. In fact, I think the GameCube was the most hated console. A lot of developers hated the fucking GameCube. In trying to compete with other platforms, I think they said it like hurt their creativity. Like, they were so focused on these making these games that would compete that it really destroyed their creativity. And so they moved away from that after the GameCube, which is crazy because in my opinion the GameCube had some absolute bangers. But that's often the case. People, developers, how even music artists, their most popular songs are always their most hated songs, right? And it's the same with, fucking Nintendo and the consoles. Their most hated consoles are almost always their most popular consoles. Let's be real here. So, I mean, literally Sony is playing a game with no players. And I think that when it comes to cross-platform, Sony will eventually get on the bandwagon. They're going to have to. They don't have a choice anymore. Crossplay is here, and cross-progression will be soon to follow. Sony is just going to have to suck it up, pull on the big boy britches, pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and embrace it, or they will fail. It will be the only thing that will take Sony out. And I say this because it's not going to be their consoles. They make absolutely stellar fucking consoles, It's not going to be their games. They make great games. Those aren't going to kill them. It's going to be the fact that they cannot jump on the bandwagon that everybody else has already jumped on. Right? That is going to be what kills Sony. And it's going to suck. I don't want to see Sony die. I would be considered an Xbox fan, but I don't want to see Sony die. Because that means that Xbox has less competition and Xbox quits trying. And the moment Xbox quits trying, I'm going to cry because their games are already ass. They don't need to be even more ass. Okay? That's so bad. So bad. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm banking on State of Decay 3 being good. I swear to God, it has to be. If they fail me again, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna absolutely cry. But yeah, that's my opinions on cross-progression in the gaming industry, guys. I think that we're at a renaissance. I think that cross-play, cross-progression, and indie games, they are dominating the industry. And I think that without cross-play and cross-progression, Any platform that cannot embrace it is going to die. It's going to drown. It's sink or swim, and if you're good at swimming, you've got to let the losers drown. That's one of my favorite quotes from Bully, and I firmly believe it. I firmly believe it. Every other console is good at swimming. Sony is not. And that quote proves very true. Okay? If you're good at swimming, you've got to let the losers drown, and they are letting Sony drown. Because they know it's less competition. Even fucking Nintendo knows it's less competition. So, of course, they're not exactly doing anything to convince Sony to work with them. And neither is Microsoft. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still competition. It's still someone who's stealing a majority of the fucking revenue in the gaming industry. So that's my opinion on cross-progression and just the gaming industry as a whole, guys. If you have your own opinions or thoughts, be sure to mention them in the comments. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Squid Talks. You guys have a good one.